I'm so excited. We're here. I'm Ada, National Chapter Manager for you all who might not know me. Um, we're here in our first Chapter Skillshare. Super excited. And I'm so happy you're all here and joining us. We are going to be just talking through product drives and partnership building, which is really exciting. And sorry, I'm getting more people are coming in. It's so exciting. But yeah, I'm going to be moderating this call with Isha from our amazing University of Central Florida chapter. And we're also going to have 3 other fantastic chapters present on their advice, best practices, what's worked for them. And then we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A discussion at the end. So yeah, it's super exciting to have you all here. How about we just get started? Welcome everyone. I am Ada, National Chapter Manager. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently located in Switzerland, but I just moved back to Europe. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here with you all. I'm just gonna run through kind of just some group norms. So yeah, this is our first live chapter Skillshare, and super excited to welcome you all, and honored to have all of these incredible panelists here today to discuss product drives and partnership building. So yeah, super excited. Without further ado, let's just get started. So I'm gonna share my screen. Cool. So welcome. Chapter Skillshare number 1. So your moderators, as I mentioned, are myself and Isha, the chapter president from University of Central Florida. Welcome, Isha. Do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Thank you. So yeah, a quick agenda. I'm first just going to give a quick overview of some chapter numbers from all of you, all of y'all chapters from 2020. Mainly, I'm just going to give us a quick snapshot of the amount of products and partners that y'all had in the year 2020, just to give kind of like paint the picture. And then Isha's going to kind of introduce us to kind of the role of product drives and partnership building within the menstrual equity movement, and just like it's the role of distributing products within like grassroots activism. And then we're going to have our amazing Highland Park Senior High School chapter, which is a dual chapter with the Girl Alliance Association. We'll be presenting on their product drives and give you all some ideas and what has worked for them. Then we have Case Western Reserve University in Ohio, and then we have Auburn, Alabama. So yeah, super excited. Then we can look over some additional quotes and pictures that a lot of you sent over to me, just to spotlight a couple other ones. And then we'll jump straight into questions and discussions. So first of all, just want to give you that 2020 data. You all are incredible and distributed, okay, me and numbers, distributed 691,191 products. Did I say that right? In 2020, which is absolutely incredible. Y'all are amazing, and you distributed those products to over 520 partners across the United States and the world. A lot of those partners, you mentioned that you're just fostering these relationships with, and these partners include shelters, jails, prisons, schools, food banks, libraries, crisis centers, homeless shelters, LGBTQI plus centers. So you really are out there in your communities doing incredible work. So just kind of wanted to give you that picture and just shout you all out because you're all incredible and you do a great job every single day. So thank you for all the hard work. And yeah, and from here, Isha, if you'd like to, I'll pass the baton to you.
All right, so hi everyone. My name is Isha Gosalker, and I am the president and co-founder of Period at the University of Central Florida, just located in Orlando, Florida. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what Period at UCF has done and why product drives are so important. So Period, just to kind of go back, was first started at UCF in the fall of 2018. And I remember being really excited when I came across Period because I've grown up, surrounded by period stigma, and it was so exciting to see an organization like Period that works so hard to fight against that and really make sure that people are getting the access they need and the education they need about a topic that affects such a huge majority of the population. So I think one thing that really makes Period unique is its three pillars: service, education, advocacy. And in Florida, it's exciting. We don't have the tampon tax, it's already been repealed. So when we talk about advocacy, we're able to talk about the next steps, which is working on access and making sure that our school in general has access to products. But I think something that's else that we can focus on as Period chapters is other aspects of advocacy, such as how to read legislation. Um, I know when the elections was happening, obviously that was a huge thing that happened this year. It was really important for us to talk to our members about different, policies that have been going around or different legislation and how to be aware of what you are voting for. And moving on from that, education, of course, is one of the most important things that we can do. But kind of the best part is that everything kind of interlinks and we can use one pillar to support the others. So on campus, if you don't know anything about UCF, it's a really, really big university. And I'm sure a lot of you also have that issue sometimes where you're at such a big school or a big city, and it's sometimes hard to find ways to make Period and their mission, a topic that more people can get involved in because it is so niche. I found the one thing that makes it really easy to grow and be able to get more people involved is collaborations and partnership building. Um, and more specifically, I think I was able to find out that periods can really be discussed in a lot of different ways when we discuss intersectionality, whether that's partnering with LGBTQ plus organizations and talking about inclusivity around periods. We partnered with mental health organizations to understand how to take care of your mental health or physical health on your period, or how to best serve the underprivileged or homeless population, or how it affects multicultural organizations. So I think finding those organizations or those smaller communities that might not explicitly seem related to period, but can offer a part of the conversation where you understand not just how it affects periods, but how it can affect other topics or other conversations makes it so much more interesting. And I think it really brings more people to period, even non-menstruators to period, which is something that's very powerful. This past summer, actually, we're really excited because we partnered with other Florida chapters and we actually held a racism in reproductive health panel. And I think that's something that I wish I'd started earlier on, is connecting with other Florida chapters, because we all have so many great ideas. And I think that's definitely amazing, but power is always in numbers. So being able to work together with other chapters in your area, whether that's university or high school or even just community chapters, is a really good way to kind of bring people together and make a bigger impact. Specifically, when I'm talking about like product drives at UCF, so we have mostly been tied up with the Orlando Union Rescue Mission, which is a homeless shelter in downtown Orlando. And I was very, very meaningful and intentional when choosing to partner with this organization. I don't know, I just had the idea that, when I was trying to find organization, I called up a bunch of organizations in the area and I didn't even tell them what I was donating. I just said, like, I'm calling to find out what you're in need of. Because from my experience in the past, I've just found that a lot of times there's so many, different organizations and so many people that want to donate and want to do service, but sometimes we forget to make sure that they need our help and make sure that we are providing service or providing donation for something that is truly helpful, and is responding to the needs that they have. So I kind of like, blind called a bunch of organizations until I found one that really had the need for it. And I think I've mentioned before too, but one of the most important things to me is meaningful service. So here we have a period tracker you can see on the screen. So one of the directors at my chapter had this amazing idea of making a little piece of paper where on one side there is a tracker, because most of us have access to social media and access to technology. And because of that, we're able to use different ways to track our periods, and that I know personally makes me feel more in control and makes me feel like I know exactly what I can expect. This is a way for someone who is a homeless menstruator to have access to their own version of that and feel like they can keep track of what's happening. And on the back, there's just a little list of things that they should do to be safe when using different period products. And kind of going hand in hand with that, the next slide actually shows a survey form that we put in each period pack as well. So after we're able to donate the period packs, we go back and collect these forms from those menstruators to make sure that we're donating the right things, to make sure that we're making the impact that we think we're making. Because again, making sure that you're making a meaningful impact and, understanding people's needs and understanding that of course we have lots of products to donate, and we're very lucky with period because you can order products from them, but we need to be meaningful with who we're donating to and what impact that's having. So just to kind of wrap it up, I think period is obviously doing amazing things and it's so much fun to be involved in it, and that can be through multiple avenues. Product drives and partnership building kind of help bring us closer to making the difference in the menstruator community, whether that is just like asking for monetary donations. I always say like $2 is enough to support a menstruator for an entire cycle, as the way period says it. So there's so many ways you can get other people involved. So it's just really exciting to be part of all of this. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to share.
Thank you, Isha. Yeah, I really love this idea of like the feedback forms of a physical period tracker. Like you said, not everyone has access to a phone. We all have apps where you can do that, but so that's such an incredible idea. Wonderful. Next, we have Vivian and Alyssa. They are the co-presidents at Highland Park Senior High School in Minnesota, and also, which is a dual chapter with the Girls Alliance Association. So yeah, I will let you all take the lead on this. If you maybe want to introduce your chapter a little bit, if you all can read it as well, but would love if maybe Alyssa, if you could maybe introduce yourselves, and then I will let you all share your screen.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here. My name is Alyssa Monteagudu. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm currently a junior in high school at Highland Park Senior High, which is in Minnesota. Vivian, you can go ahead.
And then my name's Vivian Bowie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also a junior at Highland Park Senior High School.
Yeah, so within the past year, Vivian and I co-founded and are the co-presidents of the period chapter at our high school in Minnesota, and this is a dual chapter with the club that we also founded called the Girls Alliance Association. Since this was our first time being organized, we had our first menstrual product drive in December of last year, which we'll be going over in this presentation.
So because this was our first menstrual product drive, we also had to go through like establishing our first partnership. So we had to look into different local organizations that we would be donating to. And this is also like an especially important step in the time of like COVID-19, because a lot of organizations have changed or updated like their lists of donations that they would be accepting. And then some have even like closed off donations entirely. But once we've settled on an organization, we decided to partner with YouthLink Minnesota, which is a youth homeless shelter based in Minneapolis. So before the drive, you want to make sure you reach out to the organization and then inquire about how COVID has affected like their donation processes. In this email, it's also important to communicate like club goals and missions, what you're doing this work for, what you hope to accomplish with this product drive. And then also an important step is identifying their need for menstrual products. So asking about how many menstruators walk in through their doors on a daily basis helped us establish like a goal for our menstrual product drive. And then we also coordinated a distribution day, so scheduling a drop-off day and time and outlining their COVID regulations and adjustments. And then after we collected products, we also had to communicate the amount of products we collected. This is because, especially like in a time of COVID and after communicating with them and learning that they did have leftover products from like a previous drive, we wanted to make sure that they would be accepting all of our donations due to like inventory issues or storage issues that they may have. They might not accept everything that we collected. So we communicated that information, and then we also clarified the distribution day and procedure once again, just to make sure the day went as smoothly as possible. And then after donating products, we sent a thank you email and then expressed our hopes of continuing an annual partnership so that we can continue to donate menstrual products every year.
Yeah, and once we've created this solid connection with an organization, we decided to start our more intensive planning process. And one of the first things to keep in mind is creating a very organized agenda to organize all the information. Some important dates to keep in mind are the actual collection days. So if this is an in-person drive, planning the days that you'll be collecting the products, and then also coordinating with the organization the day that you'll be dropping off all the products that were collected. And this agenda can also vary based on the format of your own drive. What we did is create a donation form that outlined important information and steps, which included like when the form closes, the actual donation days, the partnership organization that we were working with, the drop-off location, what products we were exactly collecting, and things like that. Once we figured out all these steps, we were able to propose this event to the administration at our school. And from then we could start planning for the advertising, marketing, and announcements, so the outreach aspect of the drive. We did this by creating posters, social media posts, and starting to draft up email templates.
So once we've created posters and social media posts, we announced it to our members, who also helped towards marketing the event to their own family and friends. We also distributed the posters through emails, and then all the information was provided on our like social media and in these emails. So through these emails, we sent them to our teachers, friends, family members, former teachers, and our school's National Honor Society. So a lot of teachers posted the event and information to their Schoology pages, which is like a school-wide communication page that would provide information to every student. And then we also partnered with our school's National Honor Society, which is like a volunteer organization. And the people who donated would get volunteer hours as like an incentive for donating. Through this, we found it like really effective because a lot of our friends communicate with their friends. And then we even had like one family friend who posted to social media and helped us like establish a Venmo, and also helped us raise over $400 for menstrual products. And then next slide. So when sending out, our two main methods of outreach were through emails and social media. When sending out emails, an important thing to note is making sure that you're providing thorough information on the drive, and then including the event poster. And then also during COVID, it's especially important to like outline how you're adhering to COVID-19 regulations, just to make sure that there are no like concerns about it. And then by emailing a lot of our former teachers, they were able to like advertise it to like their own communities. I think one of our former teachers posted it to like the Highland Park community Facebook page, where a lot of parents are on as well. So a lot of people were able to see the event. On our social medias, we posted it to Instagram, Facebook, and then we also had Twitter promotions. And through this, it's same as the emails. We provided information for the drive. And other clubs at our school also helped share the event as well. And then these are just the posters that we came up with for the drive. So on the left, we have like the actual poster that we sent out with emails and put onto our website. And then on the right is like the social media posts that we posted.
And moving on to how we actually were able to collect the products, it's really important to outline in the donation form specific times and dates that people can sign up to if you're planning an in-person drive. So we made sure that when we had a donation form, it helped us better coordinate and adhere to COVID-19 regulations. So we knew when to time out when people were coming in or coming out, and everyone would be socially distanced. Having a donation form also allowed us to better keep track the number of packages that we were donating, which can then help us have clearer information to send off to the organization so they know exactly how many products we would be donating to them. And we had this donation form open for 2 weeks, collecting responses for 2 weeks. For us personally, specifically, we used Google Forms. And we had our collection days split over 2 days just so that it gave people a greater opportunity to come in. We had the products dropped off at bins at our drop-off location. And then on the last day, when there were people who did not show up, we contacted them afterwards and planned to arrange to collect products either through having them drop it off at one of our houses or having us pick it up, and making sure that we were planning it all so that it would be safe. And then additionally, what we did is had donors fill out the donation form to pledge and drop off their products on their specified donation day. This way we knew exactly what was coming in and exactly what was going out. And there wouldn't be an influx of people or things like that. And then the monetary donations through Venmo, Vivian can explain.
So I previously mentioned that one of our family friends helped us start a Venmo for this event. And I think a Venmo was a safer alternative to personally donating products. So people just Venmoed money to our family friend, and he was the only person who collected the donations, and then all the funds went towards purchasing menstrual products for this drive.
And then additionally, to adhere to COVID-19 guidelines, the donation form helped us organize the days donations were being dropped off, track the number of people who were donating at a specific time. And we also made sure to follow COVID-19 regulations. So ensure emphasize the importance of social distancing and wearing your mask.
And then with the monetary donations, it was just one person in charge rather than multiple people who were coming into contact with each other to get menstrual products.
And then just a sort of reflection side on our part, or things that we would think we could change, that if you are planning a menstrual product drive right now, the things to take into account are, if you are having a poster, make sure that your contact information is readily available, whether that be your club's contact information. And we also recommend having your own personal information, because a lot of people tend to have questions about specific drop-off locations or how many products they are donating. So it's good to have this information easily accessible to all. And we'd also say that if you're doing an in-person drive, to make sure that you have everyone else's contact information and to give them reminder emails the day before, just so they know that, hey, this is the time that you're planning on coming in, these are the amount of products you planned on donating, and this having personal emails rather than a huge announcement on our social media holds people more accountable to actually coming in and donating. And we also would have set up a Venmo earlier on. With COVID, I think Venmo is a lot of people tend to like that option better just because it is safer. And I know that sometimes buying it can be a hassle to go out and buy your own products. So establishing a Venmo through your organization and then having co-founders or your own members buy products, it can be a bit more organized and help other people feel safer while also still contributing to the cause. And then the next few slides are just some photos of us, how we set up our thing. Since this was our first drive, I feel it was pretty local and small, but yeah, these are just examples of how we did it.
And then on this slide, we do have additional information. So if you want to get access to that document, you just click the link to get the additional information that we wrote down.
And if you do have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat, but this will be answered later on in the discussion. I'll pass it back off to Ida and Isha.
Thank you. That was incredible. I think, yeah, I'm just so excited to hear like every single step. It's so easy to visualize. Um, and also love the slide on COVID-19 regulations. I think that's so important, and also a question that we get so often as well. Because this is a new world we live in. How do we adhere to these regulations, and how can we keep serving our community? So thank you so much. Y'all are incredible. Big round of a virtual applause. Cool. So now next we have Noah and Gabby from Period at Case Western Reserve University in Ohio. They're the community outreach director and the chapter secretary. So welcome. I will now hand it over to you all.
Hi, I'm Noah. Like Ira said, I'm the Community Outreach Director, period.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm the secretary. All right. Hello, everyone. So we're the chapter period at Case Western Reserve University, which is located in Cleveland, Ohio. And this is just a little outline of what we're going to be talking about. But first, we just want to talk about some of our current initiatives. No, do you want to go to the next slide? Sorry.
Sure.
Thank you. And so one thing that we've been working on and that we're super excited about for this semester is an educational program for Juvenile Detention Center, because one of our goals is to kind of talk more about education and have that really be something that we're working on. And so this page that you see here is just a little snippet of a brochure that we made. So it kind of just explains what menstruation is, products you can use for the girls of the center. And so we also just gave a presentation recently and it went well. So we're excited to continue building this and making more, informational brochures or packets and things like that. And then another thing that we recently just did was a Valentine's Day Care Pack fundraiser, with all the proceeds going to us being able to purchase more products to, then distribute, and also just getting our name out there. And we also use Venmo, like had a Google form, had people, sign up to get one and get it for their friends and stuff like that. And so I think it's a good way to kind of incentivize people to help us, but then also, they're getting something like cute little Valentine's Day thing in return.
So the first step when we are planning a product drive is contacting local places around us. We like to do both a collection drive at our school and working with the surrounding community. So we reach out to a lot of restaurants, coffee shops. We have a Starbucks that we get some donations from, like bookstores. A lot of small businesses are usually a lot more receptive to like having a box sitting in their business. A lot of the time when we try something like Panera Bread or something that's like a bigger organization, they typically have like national rules against that. So small businesses are usually also a lot more interested in helping out the local community. Recently, this semester, we started reaching out to religious organizations and churches in the area, which we hadn't done before, which actually turned out great. We emailed 20 churches and only one emailed back, but that one sent us like thousands of products that they managed to collect, and it was amazing. I feel like what we learned from that is that sometimes it might be like a smart strategy to reach out to religious institutions because you have people coming in there that really have the right mindset and frame of mind to go donate some products. I feel like when someone's walking to a coffee shop, they're not necessarily like thinking about how to save the world or something like that, but sometimes, I don't know, maybe their religious institution can inspire them, and it was really successful this time. We also do product drives on campus, so that involves a lot of working with the management of buildings and trying to get it allowed to have boxes there and posters. This semester, there have been way more restrictions. We were only able to have 2 boxes on campus and we got 0 products. So that, because of COVID, didn't really work out for us. But we got most of our products last semester from the local community.
And so then the second step was collecting, decorating, and then dropping off the donation bins to their locations. So we just used like Amazon boxes, ones that we'd already had. And then we created signs with our period at CWRU logo, and that have an explanation of why we're gathering products. And a fun way that we found to include our general body members in this was to have them like help us decorate Halloween themed boxes, because we also figured that if we had boxes in these locations that are cute and decorated, that's going to be a little more eye-catching than just like a cardboard brown box. And then, the final step is we drop the decorated donation boxes off at their locations.
So these are some examples of flyers that we made to put with our donation boxes. This is one that was actually at a Starbucks near us. Gabby, do you want to explain the story?
Oh yeah, sure. So someone just from our school on Instagram, I follow her. She's not super involved in period. I had her in one of my classes. And she like posted this on Instagram and said it's at the Starbucks on, Cedar, which is just like a road in our area. And so that was really cool to see that like people are from school that are on campus, because not a ton of people were on campus, seeing that this is something that we're doing. So that was just cool to see that, people like from campus are seeing that. And then the other one is just, this one is just one of a little like poster that one of our other exec members made. It's kind of just another eye-catching thing that we, can put in the posters. And these are ones that we wanted to put all around our campus, but as Noah already said, it was a little bit difficult. Didn't get a ton of donations from that because of restrictions and people not being on campus.
So the next step was basically waiting for donations to come in. So we tried to keep in contact with email with the locations that we reached out to. Something I meant to mention before was the way we reach out. We've tried like emailing and phone calls in the past, but we found that it works much better when we go in person. So we'll go with a pre-decorated box into local community centers. And by actually having us there and asking on the spot, they tend to be a lot more receptive. And then in future semesters, we also like to email just to catch up with them and see if they're still interested in donating. And also the places that we donate to, we check each semester to make sure they still need products and if they still have products from previous drives. So once the drive ends, which we typically have it ending around the time of a break from school, we go and pick it up from the locations of the boxes. This semester, we did get a little more flexible than usual about how we get donations. A lot of the places that we used to get donations from are either closed because of COVID, like they're not in person, or they closed down because of the financial burdens of COVID, or they just didn't want the hazard of having a box in their business. So someone offered, there was a synagogue nearby that instead of taking a donation bin, asked if they could donate some money, which we'd never really done before. Like Vivian and Alyssa were mentioning that they did. We'd never done that before, but since they were offering, we sort of tried it out and we found that it actually worked really well. So we accepted the money they wanted to donate and then went and bought products on our own. And we found that a lot of other places were also really interested in doing that because of COVID, and it seems a lot safer. So these are the products we got from the church I mentioned, that they had tons of products. And this was, they emailed to ask if we could pick it up because they wanted to continue the drive, but they were running out of room, which is just amazing that they got this many products.
And so then some issues that we ran into that we've already kind of been talking about, but just to state them more explicitly, we weren't able to put donation boxes in our usual places around campus. So, due to COVID. And so we got fewer donations than usual from a, campus and student standpoint. This also came from the fact that, especially first semester, not a ton of people were on campus, like including myself and, members of our exec board. And then also just very few places that we reached out to responded to us in the community. Like Noah was saying, the one church that responded, but we were really happy that the ones that did got so many products, or that we were able to get so many products from them, like the picture we said before. So we'd love any and all advice in regards to these things.
So some of the stuff that we're planning for this upcoming semester is to reach out to more religious institutions, since that worked out so well last semester. And we're also encouraging we're working on making more partnerships with other clubs on campus, which we've done in the past, but we're trying to extend this semester. We've done a lot of like partnerships with Greek life. We've done packing parties with sororities, and we often encourage them to do their own mini product drives so that they can bring the products instead of us bringing products that were already donated to us. So that sort of encourages them to get involved and bring products themselves, and it also gets the name out so people know that Period exists, and a lot of the time they end up coming to future meetings. We're also just reaching out to other non-Greek life orgs to try and do partnerships and get more involved. We're also doing more financial fundraisers. So we did like an Instagram bingo board and the care packs that we did fundraisers with, and then we're using that money to buy products. And we're also, like we mentioned, continuing our educational initiatives with the juvenile detention center near us. And we're also looking at our local public schools that we also give out brochures and do education about menstrual health. And we're also hoping to start donating products to both of those areas if we can get enough products for them. Okay, that's our presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and put your questions in the chat, and we'd be happy to answer them later.
Yay, thank you. That was incredible. I think that also here, like y'all said, like you see how like, Vivian and Alyssa, had something that now, turns out that y'all were also thinking about in terms of reaching out to religious institutions. And so I think this is great. And also I love that y'all also, did a shout out for advice. So yeah, let's chat later. Let's see like what maybe some of you who are joining us today, like if y'all have done any of this and what worked for you. So yeah, thank you. And next we have our last but not least, we have Reagan from our Auburn, Alabama chapter. So thank you so much, Reagan. I'm super excited to, I feel like this has gone by so quickly, but yeah, super excited to have you on here today to talk more in depth about partnership building. So yeah, I'll hand it over to you, Reagan.
Great, thank you. I'm really excited to talk about what our chapter has done and how we've been able to foster a lot of relationships and partnerships. I'm going to go, in particular, I'm going to focus on how we've managed to build really effective and efficient ways to foster relationships that will be developing long-term, that'll self-sustain, with people that are in the menstrual equity world, but also people that are not necessarily focused on menstrual equity issues, but ultimately work together as a community to produce equitable health outcomes. So first, when we go about developing a partnership, we want to think about what makes a good partner. So there are limitless organizations and nonprofits that exist, but for a variety of reasons, not necessarily every one of them is going to be ideal to partner with. And so first, we want to establish who we're looking for before we really figure out what we want to be doing with them. So as we go about looking for partnerships, we've done this in a few different ways. So a lot of our members serve as ambassadors or liaisons to various organizations. And this has helped us to remain personable and also very responsive as we're developing partnerships. So certain members of our executive board would find an organization either just by Googling, or they would look for an organization that meets their personal interest or experiences. For example, we had one executive member that volunteered a lot with the Latinx community in Alabama. And so she was able to foster partnerships with them because she already had a one-on-one connection. In addition, everyone on our executive board has what I call personal projects. So essentially, they think every semester of a project that they're really passionate about that intersects with menstrual equity, and they either come up with an event in relation to it or a drive that might benefit their project. And they're responsible for communicating with other key stakeholders in that project. And ultimately, this has helped us to have a really intersectional, multifaceted approach, which just expands our expertise because there's no way that we can know everything about period poverty and stigma, nor other intersecting social justice issues. And we're also able to reach a wider variety of people this way. Other times, though, we've formed partnerships because we're referred to different organizations through community members. So I've had several individuals email me and express a need for a certain organization or a certain community member, and we were able to reach out to individuals that way. Or we start by Googling, like I mentioned, other intersecting issues like housing instability or food insecurity or shelters that help people that have faced gender-based violences, and we start to connect in that capacity. So after we've found an organization, we want to make sure that it's going to be a good partnership. And we do this by looking at their purpose, their values, and their audience. So we either search their website and their social media, or we just forwardly ask them. So when we look at the purpose of a partnership, one, we look at their founding purpose. So for example, with Period, we can really easily see that our purpose is to eradicate period poverty and stigma. And you can see that on our websites, on our Instagrams, and different pamphlets or books. And this really helps us to think and discuss their potential strengths and weaknesses, our potential strengths and weaknesses, as well as the sector of focus. So if we want to more specifically focus on outreach efforts or education efforts with them, or if we should tackle more systemic issues and have a policy approach. And ultimately, if we know their purpose, we can think about how our work will adapt to complement what they do. And then we also look at their values as an organization. So we want to make sure that we're aligned with different humanitarian issues. So one of the main examples in Alabama is in relation to the prison system. So Alabama has really, really high incarceration rates, and our governor is currently working to build 3 more prisons in our state. And so when we are finding people to partner with, we want to make sure that they aren't supporting this because that would exacerbate period poverty and stigma and further marginalize incarcerated menstruators. So obviously we want to make sure we support menstruators regardless of their personal beliefs. But when we partner with an organization that publicly states what they believe in, we want to make sure that it aligns with our ideals. And then finally, when we're figuring out if they would be a good partner, we look at the audience that they're serving. And we want to do this because it could, like I mentioned earlier, help expand our breadth, but also because we want to make sure that we're person-centered and that we help to elevate their expertise on their lived experiences. And so by looking at the purpose, the values, and the audience, we can really assess whether or not they would be a good partner to have. So after we figure out who we would like to work with, we go into discussing how we would actually work with them and what we would be doing. So this includes more of the logistical and organizational aspects, but also we want to really concretely define what our goals would be, what the objectives and tangible outcomes would be. We also want to develop a timeline, so whether or not this would be an ongoing relationship, or if it would be an event that happens once a semester, or if it would be a one-time occurrence. And also, once we establish a timeline, we can figure out how we would feasibly carry out this partnership. And then also we want to look at their resources and their expertise so we can make sure that it can be feasible and that we're compatible. So our chapter doesn't really deal with a lot of monetary donations. So if we're partnering with an organization, we want to make sure that they're aware of that and that they also are more suited to dealing with monetary means. Okay, there it goes. So after we've decided that we'd like to work with them and we've come up with a game plan, then we want to ask if we can work alongside them. So we really tactfully want to communicate who we are, what our goal is, what our values are, and what our expertise are. As I mentioned, also mentioning our capacity, like our time and our resources. But really importantly, we want to mention why we value them as a partner. So we want to emphasize that we'd be really grateful for the chance to learn more about them, about their work, and that if we could work alongside each other, we think that it would help to benefit our community. So as I mentioned, we as an organization had already come up with all of our potential ideas, and we want to extend those and seem prepared. But we also want to emphasize that in this partnership, we want to be approachable and communicable. So we want to be flexible and willing to adapt any of the ideas that we might have ahead of time. So after we have formed a relationship, most of the work lies in continuing to foster the relationship and maintaining that relationship. So we found that the clearest way to do this so far has been to just be really transparent with one another, make sure we're holding up our end of the deal and communicating where we are with our progress, recognizing our strengths and weaknesses, and continually making sure that we're improving, we're asking for feedback, and that their expectations are being met. We want to take initiative and be prepared, but also be flexible and open to any necessary changes. And all of this is done through continual open communication and reevaluating our needs and their needs as we progress with the partnership. So finally, I want to give some examples about how our chapter has partnered with individuals and organizations in the past. We were founded about a year and a half ago in the fall of 2019. So most of our active time has been in the midst of the pandemic, but I'm really proud because we've still been able to foster over 50 partnerships and collect thousands of menstrual products. So I'm going to give some examples of some of the partnerships that we've done outside of our product drives. So in the top left corner on my screen, that is me lying in a pile of menstrual products. We filled it. This is kind of an arbitrary measurement, but we filled an entire chapter room full of products. And so I took the chance to dive into them because I was very excited. So that was really awesome. We partnered with several leadership organizations on campus that teach incoming freshmen and high school students how to be strong leaders as they move forward in their careers. And we also partnered with several chapters of sororities, sorry, that's the word. And then in the bottom left corner, that is our Vice President, Dylan. We drove a bunch of products to the Well House, which is a home for individuals that have previously been commercially exploited. So we were able to drop off a lot of products to them. And then also, in order to continue fostering that relationship with them, we took a tour around their facility and we learned more about their work and were able to understand how to better suit that community. And then moving forward, there's a picture of some pamphlets that we gave to Hattie's Home, which is a home for girls that are facing crises. And the owner of this home mentioned to me that a lot of the menstruators that live there have their period for the first time while they're in that home, and that they oftentimes for a variety of reasons, feel really uncomfortable trying to talk about it or to say that they need menstrual products. And so we made 2 different resources for them. The first one we titled Your First Period, and essentially it instructed people how to use tampons and pads and menstrual cups, really focusing on how to maintain menstrual hygiene, how long you should have a pad on for, or when you should be throwing things away, talking about blood colors or sizes of products. And then the other one was talking about puberty in a general sense. So as she mentioned, a lot of people start their period when they're in that home, and they cater to girls that are ages 12 to 18. So in the prime years of puberty. So we developed that resource for them. And then the picture where it has like a pamphlet and some buttons, that was one of our executive members' personal projects. So she is really an avid supporter of positive sexual health. And so we partnered with the Health and Wellness Organization on our campus, and we talked about STDs and sexual health and menstrual health. And we also were able to hand out products in these pins. The pins were developed with the hope that we could help destigmatize the topics that we were talking about. And then also we hosted a 5K. It was actually a 4K because I was kind of bad about the math, but it was still really fun. And we partnered with several organizations in our area, and they were able to give a lot of pamphlets and talk about, once again, sexual health, but also they raised awareness for other sexual interpersonal violences. And we also hosted a mini drive at that event as people's like admission to running. And the bottom picture just shows Rape Counselors of East Alabama as one of our partners, and they were showing some of the products that we gave. And then the last two partnerships that I'm going to talk about, we hosted a yoga event focusing on body positivity for menstruators, and that was with a gym in our area and then a group called Active Minds, which works to foster healthy mental health outcomes amongst college students. So that was a really fun event. It was during COVID, but since it was outside and everyone was distanced, it was an easy way to get people involved. And then finally, we had an event with a sex therapist, a sex columnist, a anti-trafficking advocate, and rape counselors. And we talked about sexual health and menstrual health, and we hosted a webinar. So finally, just wanted to link all of my information. You can download any of the resources that we've developed for our partners or read about our partners on our website under the affiliates and resources tab. And then I've also linked my email in case anyone wants to reach out that way.
Thank you so much, Reagan. That was incredible. I think that just like you said, it shows how intersectional the work of a chapter and just any menstrual equity activist can be, and fostering also fostering partnerships can look so many different ways, and you can make it fun. You can also, I love the idea of the personal projects of your officers too. I think that's such a great idea, and something I think that I feel like I always try to talk about how, like, look at the individuals who are involved and like really let them do whatever makes them feel the most passionate. So I love that idea so much. Thank you so much, Reagan. Yay. So finally, I just wanted to share a little bit of some like additional resources that some of our chapters sent over to me. Maybe some of you are in attendance, so if you are, please let me know, and like I'll let you talk about your own side. But yeah, we had our amazing period at East Chapel Hill High School in North Carolina send over some pictures of a drive they did, and also sent over a quote of some like advice and like best practices. Are any of you here before I head over and like read it? Okay. But yeah, they're a high school chapter that wanted to run a product drive during COVID. And yeah, they said our drive yielded much better results than we expected. And again, largely due to connections to others, collaborating with another club at our school, which I think just again talks about, fostering partnerships, finding people who are aligned with your values and your mission, utilizing social media, especially during COVID, and then donating to a local organization. And yeah, so putting your chapter out there, working, building relationships. Also, no, I think you mentioned like you reached out to like 20 churches and like one got back to you. Like that happens, but then like that one partnership you built was really meaningful. So I think that definitely putting yourself out there and just building relationships with everyone. So thank you to our East Chapel Hill chapter for sending over these pictures, and congrats on your drive. And then next we have her Pantry El Paso, Texas chapter that collaborated with, it was a local dentistry school, a beauty salon, I believe, and then I think another church. But yeah, they actually hosted their drives through businesses, so that the businesses reach out to them via social media. So the businesses offers discounts on their services or other products if the customers bought in donations, which I think is a beautiful idea. And I think you all, if you're starting to foster partnerships with businesses and small companies, you can definitely, this can be a great thing to kind of incentivize people to donate. And then she mentioned, my only advice is to stress the importance of a social media presence, as well as showing your appreciation for the support received, which I think all of our chapters who presented today mentioned, like reaching back out, either checking like, okay, what's like in terms of feedback after the drive, or just like reaching back out and saying like, hey, thank you. So yeah, and these lovely pictures. They also did a drive for diapers as well. As you can see, there's a mix of menstrual products and diapers as well. So supporting our mamas out there too. And yeah, finally, just want to open it up. Let's have a discussion. Let's have, I saw there was a question in the chat as well. So if you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and unmute. If not, no worries at all. You can just drop it in the chat and one of us will pick it up. And yeah, I will leave the floor open to all of you. Okay, I see a question here from Sophia. It says, how many items do you recommend per cycle? This could be any of our presenters, or like any other person in here who also would like to just hop on and answer this question.
I can like kind of share what we have been doing. So I think one thing is it depends like which organization you're donating to. So for example, like the organizations that I've talked to have said they only want pads. So that kind of like changes your number, but certain organizations like ask for both. So then if you're donating like pads and tampons, your number is a little bit different. But our organization has only donated pads. So of the regular size pads, we've donated like 15 per package. And we always have just kind of like ran it by the coordinator to kind of like just tell them like what we're donating, because I know sometimes like there's like the really thick ones that are like for heavier flows, or the really really thin ones. So kind of like sometimes even asking like their needs can change like your number, but at least for us it's been 15.
Cool. Yeah, I think for Period National, we also usually, that's kind of our what we tell everyone to. Usually we say like 9 pads, 6 tampons. But of course, to Isha's point, I think it's super important to reach out to the organization, the shelter that you're donating the products to, making sure, because yeah, again, some people just don't use tampons and they might end up in a storage unit not being used. So definitely very important to ask those questions beforehand. So yeah, I think from Period National standpoint, we also usually say like 9 pads, 6 tampons, but obviously that can vary. Yeah, so thank you for asking that question, Sophia. Next we have, how did you advertise your club during COVID times? I think this is a great question. So yeah, if any of you want to answer.
I can go ahead. I guess what we did is emails was a really big part of keeping people up to date with GB or like general body meetings and things like that, at least on our campus. And I don't know exactly where you're at in terms of like if you have email list or things like that, but I think that that's really useful in kind of updating people on what you're doing and things like that. And then also just social media. We with like creating Instagram, I didn't do, but because that was before I like joined, I guess. But just following a bunch of depending if you're bunch of clubs from your high school, a bunch of clubs from your college, whatever. and so that people will follow you back, and that I think kind of helps get the word out. I hope that answered your question, but yeah.
I just want to add one thing. I think like this kind of also goes back to like what we were saying about partnership. Um, but I know like for us, it was really, really beneficial to continue doing like collaborations with other organizations on campus, because as soon as there's an event, they also post on their social media. And that way, like that, you know, you have each other's presence known on social media. So that was a really easy way for our members to kind of like go between different organizations and find out about like what's on campus. So like even if you're like the first one to reach out to like an organization being like, hey, like I'd love to collaborate, usually I feel like at least a few new members come out of it.
I also have a question. So I'm not sure how many people here are like community-based chapters, but I'm part of one, so we're not affiliated with the school. So we're having a harder time trying to get members. So does anybody have like any advice, or like do you say still get people from your school? Because that was our plan, but COVID kind of hit it all off. So I was just wondering.
I can speak to that because we're not affiliated with our university either, though a lot of our events have taken place at the university. We found that reaching out to like girls and boys clubs or like ranches is a really great way. Also, a lot of our like local coffee shops or like churches will let us put up like flyers or pamphlets that way. And we just have QR codes on them. That way people can connect really easily to us through that. And then also sometimes we just get like mass email list and start sharing that way and see, you know, who responds, who doesn't. But hopefully, at least if there's like one or two more people, we've, you know, connected that way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Also to add to that from also what I've heard a lot of chapters as I've spoken to them is I always find that it becomes kind of like a chicken and the egg situation of, do I start recruiting first, or do I like start planning events and kind of doing things first in order to then get people involved? So I think that that is something you can look at and see like what you have the bandwidth to do, because you can see if you want to start recruiting and getting people involved, you can maybe do a very like a specific call to action of, hey, like we want to, you know, host X event, but we need an educational coordinator. So we're trying to like recruit for certain roles. Or like we are doing this product drive and we need volunteers. Or I think like having a call to action that's specific that kind of will um, have someone as they look at that pamphlet or, you know, see that social media post, that they can be like, oh, this is something I could do. But of course, and that depends a lot in the community that you're in, because in some communities, I guess, you know, you say, oh, period club, and people are like, oh, cool, I'll join that. But then maybe other communities, they're like, wait, I don't know if I want to join that. So I think that definitely that again is maybe something you can look into. And I don't know if any of you have any insight on that as well. We have another question here from Natalie. How long should a drive last for? 2 weeks? What do y'all think?
I can say like speak for like a university chapter, and like at least my experience is that we don't really do like physical like donations. We just find it harder. College students don't really want to go out of their way to like go buy products. Everyone's lazy, so everyone really really likes doing like Venmo or like PayPal, Cash App, all of those. So most of our fundraising is like via like social media push, whether that's like filling out a bingo board or like just asking, can I Venmo request you, doing bake sales, but everything is on social media. So for that reason, I found it most impactful to like a shorter period, a shorter time frame for a like drive collection, but like be able to post daily for it. Because if I was posting over like a longer period of time, I felt like I would not be able to make as big an impact because it would get lost on social media. So posting like consistently for a week or 2 weeks and saying like each one of our e-board members or our directors or members is trying to fundraise like $20, for example, has been more impactful. But I'm sure it's like different if you're getting physical donations, because you have to wait for people to actually donate. So that's my experience.
Next, we have Bucci, have any of you tried, know if it's successful to reach out to a local magazine and collaborating with them? For example, printing ads for product drives in their magazine. That's actually a great idea. Have any of you done that, or what do you think of that?
We haven't done that, but I think that that's a really great idea. But I guess just like speaking to a college campus, there's like newsletters, things that go out. So it's not a magazine, but like we'll, ask if they can talk about one of our meetings or talk about a drive or whatever we're doing, I guess. But not, but yeah, like not like a magazine, but like I said, that's a really cool idea.
I also feel like it doesn't hurt to try anything. So like if you can do that, like why not? And definitely like, tell us if you do it, and maybe like we can kind of all try to do an art for our chapters as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that also like there's so many magazines out there. Like, I mean, for example, um, there's Bitch magazine in Portland, and they're like a super they're like well known in Portland, but they're very like community based, like aware, socially aware, and a very progressive magazine. So I think that, for example, if there's any of those um, magazines in your local communities that you can kind of foster that partnership too, and maybe it can begin with a like posting kind of an ad for a product drive, and then it can also then maybe become like a piece on period poverty in your local community, because what you can always, when building those partnerships, you can always say, um, we can bring youth activists to this, we can help write a piece, and then those magazines might have some funds that they could put into certain projects. So I think that that's a great step to kind of begin fostering a partnership with a magazine that you might potentially want to keep working with. So I really love that idea. Let us know if you try it. Let us know how it goes, and yeah, and share the ad if it's in there as well.
I kind of had a question for the college chapters of period. Since Vivi and I are just starting high school, just out of curiosity, like how many general members are your like community-based chapters or college chapters made up of?
We have like a mailing list that's just been I wasn't around, or like I wasn't involved when our chapter was first started, so I think it was like 2018, I don't remember. So the mailing list has been like, growing. So like we have like 400 something people on our mailing list, but then like obviously not all those people are going to be involved with stuff. So I would say people who are coming to GB like meetings and stuff like that, especially right now because of COVID, is lower than we'd like. I think last semester we would have like 20-ish people coming on Zoom, maybe a little more if we were doing like we tried doing some speaker events and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess like around 20-ish people that are, coming to things, but that's also something that we're working on this semester, I think, is getting GB members more involved through like committees and stuff like that.
Yeah, ours is pretty similar. Ours is about like 20 to 30 as well. I will say though, like I actually really like having smaller meetings, because I am part of other organizations just like that aren't related to period that are much larger, but I think there's less conversation that happens. Like I think like my favorite part about just being part of a smaller org is like when you stop sharing screen and what we're doing right now, where we can just all kind of see each other's face, and then we start asking questions, or there's discussion topics, or talking about like just different things in period or reproductive health or sex ed, and that's when I think the conversations start the most. So I think like when I first started, I was so caught up on numbers and like I only have like 15 paid members, and I get like worried about it and like constantly be focused on that. And I realized that whenever I did even have more people, there was less people talking to each other. So I don't know, I will just say like I don't think the numbers matter as much as like the conversation you get out of it.
Thank you so much, both of you, for that insight. It's really a good thing for us to keep in mind too.
Oh, lovely. No, thank you, Isha. I think that is so true. And I think that yeah, we were actually thinking about like opening up this Skillshare to more people. And then just thought like, no, I feel like it gets kind of cozier if it's fewer of us and we can, like you said, like see each other's virtual faces. So yeah, I think that's quality over quantity. All but also there's power in numbers. So I guess we have two conversations there too. But yeah, thank you everyone. If there's no other questions, I will give 10 minutes back of your day to y'all. But yeah, I'm just going to share my screen one last time so that I can show you all just some handles, Instagram handles. We have our University of Central Florida chapters handle here led by Isha, our Case Western Reserve University right next to it. We had Noah and Gabby today, and then our Highland Park, I was like HPSH, Highland Park Senior High School, which is also our Girls Alliance Association chapter, and our community chapter, Auburn, Alabama with Reagan. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. Give them all a follow. They have incredible feeds, all of them. And yes, if you ever have any other questions, you can either email, I'm going to say chapters@period.org, which is our incredible chapter coordinator, Emma. She wasn't able to make it today, but she will be checking that email. So if you have any questions for Period National, please, send us an email. And then also we see our other presenters are dropping in their emails, and also any other chapter here. Yeah, like drop your handles, follow each other. Y'all have incredible feeds. I love looking at all the stuff you do. So yes, stay tuned for our next chapter Skillshare. Amir, actually, who's here with me, we're going to be planning this together. We're so stoked. We're going to be focusing on how to get products in your school bathroom. So we are going to get together, think about it, see what we come up with. So if any of you here have been working with your school administration to get products in your school and you would like to talk to us, please send us an email and let us know. But yeah, so happy to have you all here. As always, it's a pleasure. Y'all are incredible. Look up to every single one of you. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks, team.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.